Welcome guys to another edition of Fan Games. I'm your host Ergo, and I'm with a special guest character.
It's your boy Mystic Majai. That's my game handle. Check me out on Warzone. Kicking hasn't taken names.
That's right. And today we're going to be discussing whether politics has room in our games. We're going to be discussing themes such as female-led characters in games. We're also going to be touching on the minorities such as the LGBTQ and playing the stereotypical straight white. We're not going to be touching them, touching on them, by the way. Of course. No touching of them. So there's an article from GameSkinny.com talking about the 7 reasons why we need more female protagonists. I'm not going to touch on all the points, just a few just a few. So the first one is diversity. She goes on to say that this is a major issue everywhere, but don't we want it at least in our games? I think females create more diverse gameplay and atmosphere. Even bringing different races into games is far more entertaining. I enjoy the chemistry between Chloe and Nadine in Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Bringing female characters into games definitely shows that there are things they can do just as well as the male characters. Believe it or not, there are a lot of female gamers who look up to some of those female characters. It creates an impact on many women, and they see how strong females can be. This leads to another reason why I feel we need more female protagonists. What's your take there, Tom?
It's Mystic, by the way.
Yeah, sorry.
Nevertheless, my take is we do need more females in games, but the point is it needs to happen organically. It can't be, we can't feel that there is a political wing in the gaming community that's pushing female protagonists in the game. The problem is that most of the time when that happens, the games suck. It doesn't work out. But when it happens organically, the best example are the Tomb Raider games.
Yeah.
I love Tomb Raider. Not because it's a female, but because it makes sense within the context of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I was playing, for example, let's say God of War, and it wasn't Kratos, it was Melisandre, because someone decided we need a female to play God of War, I'd feel manipulated, I'd feel cheated.
Yeah.
But if it ever happened organically, I'd love it.
Yeah, man. Like the way you're supposed to go about it is to actually make it in such a way by this context to what we're actually trying to do. You know, first and foremost, like I'm going to be talking about this even more later on. We forgot to mention the surprise.
Go on, mention the surprise.
Oh yeah, by the way, guys, there's a special, really cool surprise that you don't want to miss if you make it to the end of this video. Yeah, that's basically that. That's where we want sponsors. Anyway. Oh yes, as I was saying. So
one of sponsors.
So as I'm saying, that one of the things that there need to be context for it, though, or how you actually present these characters, you know, especially if they're female. Like I have no problem with actually more female diversity in our games. But the thing that I actually have a problem with is how you actually bring it into like the fray, because you bring it in such a way by it's not supposed to like degrade what we already have, make it look as if what we have is just nothing positive about it, it's just all bad. And that's exactly why we need like female characters in our games. Like if we do it like that, it just doesn't really, it won't resonate with the rest of us. Because like we feel as if what we've been doing, we're basically not enough.
In fact, I think he's getting to the point, for example, what we don't want in the gaming community is what's happening in Hollywood. We would like more diversity because, simply speaking, there are more women buying games, more women playing games. There were probably more women playing games back in the day. It's just that they didn't have the media attention they do now. What we want, though, is we want it to happen organically. We don't want the same thing happening in Hollywood. The sense that there's someone in Hollywood manipulating us. There's certain machinations. They're trying to foist their views on us. I love Tomb Raider. I love any female-driven game as long as it's authentic to the franchise and it stays true to the fan base. That's all.
That's all we're saying. Okay, here's the second point. Now she mentions best of both worlds. Okay, female characters can be portrayed as strong hero or kind and generous hero that protects her friends. This is exactly what makes a female protagonist unique.
Wait a minute. That's not quite right. Kratos protects his son in this new game. It's beautiful, the way he evolves, the way he shows emotion, but the beautiful thing is that he does it through a modality or a mode that stays true to who Kratos is. One can be masculine and caring and compassionate. The problem is that there is a war, or the sense that there is a war on masculinity and the ways in which men express their love and compassion. The same people writing these things are the same people who read books like The 5 Love Languages, but they can't translate that same knowledge and appreciation into the gaming community. That's what I find unappealing.
It definitely is like what you actually say, because not just people like Kratos, you also have like Nathan Drake from Uncharted. That for me is actually a character who shows that type of like emotional core, be it different from the way that a woman would actually show like her emotions. It's still relevant nonetheless. So we can't exactly say it because you think of men as not being able to express emotions the same way that a woman can express it. That is actually not acceptable, you know. Because like there's a scene in Uncharted 2 whereby Nathan Drake, he was in the scene like he was supposed to help this camera guy, right? He came out of nowhere. And
Speaking of a camera guy, go on, I digress.
So like he's supposed to help him up and actually put like through like the chaos that was ensuing, the camera guy got shot, unfortunately. So he was the casualty of war. So most people are like, dude, leave the guy and like just go your own way. Like the ladies were like, dude, leave him, we gotta go. Nathan's like, nah, man. I can't just leave him. It's pouring like rain, it's pouring torrentially. He carries the guy, he takes him, what's supposed to lead him like out of there and hopefully to safety. That's
compassion.
That's compassion.
And
that's love.
And the point is that sometimes men show their love and compassion differently from women. This is one of my best friends in the world. I tease him. I might even engage in the occasional nookie from time to time. That's the way I express my love.
Yeah.
I don't always hug. I'm not always comfortable with the kiss on the cheek.
Not at all.
I might slap them on the head.
Mm-hmm.
That's love right there.
That's love.
That's the way we express it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Third point. She goes on to say emotions are better. So, female characters are often better with emotions. Male protagonists in games commonly display little to no emotion. They usually have a line they don't cross for fear of being looked at as weak. Female characters, on the other hand, can express feelings without being judged as harshly. Female characters bring the game an intense feel of love and compassion. This is basically like the same nonsense we were just discussing a few seconds before. Men can and do have a capacity to show love and compassion as well. It's not supposed to be the same way that women do it. Women do it in a different way from men. But that doesn't necessarily mean that men don't exactly have or show signs or display any signs of love and compassion as it is. I don't know. Should we waste time on this point or we just move on?
Well, I would say one thing. I can acknowledge that there is a certain element of emotional expression that while men do express, women express better. For example, in Tomb Raider, the relationship, I think it's the Rise of the Tomb Raider I'm playing right now, the relationship between Lara and her father's former beau, as it were, is quite different. Wouldn't be the same with the man. And there's nothing wrong with that again. You see, it finds expression in different games. And that's what we want.
That's true. That's right. Like one of the another thing is like the way that this person obviously wrote this article, the way you actually come up like from the perspective you're writing this, you say 7 reasons why we need female protagonists in our game. And the way you start structuring those points, you're just looking specifically at the females themselves. If you're actually trying to come up with something that's actually supposed to be complementary to what we already have, that would be much more desirable rather than coming with something that's like saying this is what we want. We don't care about what it is that you guys have. We don't care what good it has done or the bad it's done, but ours is better than yours. Because when you write things like this, you're just putting yourself in an us versus them mentality.
I think it's that very sense. It's the sense that even though in the article there are good points and legitimate points, points I have voiced myself, it is the undertone of the article, the sense that there's a combative attitude that we don't like.
Exactly. So that really just takes it from the entire thing that you're trying to do. Because you're gonna get your female led games, and what happens if it's coming from this point, like from that place in your heart of like a combative nature or attitude, you're gonna get what you want. What happens, and don't be surprised when your games don't sell.
I think we can end the point off by saying, ask yourself this question: do the ends justify the means?
Moving on. So now we're gonna talk about the typical white male protagonist. Why we're always playing as the typical white male.
Ah, yes. White male. The haunted white male.
A dreaded white male.
Or the unicorn.
Okay, so why do games like Uncharted 4 always star white men? From Houston Chronicle. Allow me to elaborate.
Let me sit back and enjoy the show.
But here's the thing. The four protagonists in Uncharted 4 are Nathan, Sam, Sully, and Elena. That's 3 white men and 1 straight white woman. She really emphasizes the straight. I wish companies saw more possibility in the kinds of people their stories feature. Uncharted 4 is of course hardly alone. White male characters dominate blockbuster games. When people in gaming use words like hero, protagonist, generic, and player, they usually mean white guy. And that's true even though mean white guy, never mind that. And that's true even though adult women are the largest demographic of game consumers. Contrary to the stereotypes, teenage males only make up 70% of gamers.
I might add before we move on that statistic right there includes people who are playing games on phones.
Basically.
I think she's quite aware that when we're talking about this, we're talking about people who are playing games on their consoles or on their
PCs and laptops.
And I think she is on purpose including that so that she can skew her article. I have nothing wrong with the point she's trying to make, but she's being incredibly disingenuous in the way she's trying to make the point. But nevertheless, let's move on.
Uncharted 4, Nathan, Sam, Sully, and Elena, our 4 white protagonists, spend most of their time killing people of color. Their godfather is the usual Russian, Latin American, or African henchman. How can this be considered normal? To say these games are tributes to action flicks of the 80s is no excuse. It's offensive and it's boring. What's your take on that, Lisa?
Quite frankly, this is a difficult one for me because I sympathize with what she's trying to say. In particular with the white male stereotype. It is to a certain extent true, and the truth of the matter is it is changing over time. However, she's being a tad heavy-handed with that one. Well, generally though, I'll be frank, begrudgingly, I sort of agree with her, though I do love killing those Russian bad guys.
Well, yeah, personally for me, in my standpoint, whenever I'm playing like any game, there is no concept relevant to me, basically what's based on what's happening around my world, politically speaking. So what I'm trying to say is that when I'm playing my games, I'm just there to have fun. I really don't have the time or energy to be nitpicking at who's white, who's black, who's this, who's that. I really don't care about that.
Don't shoot the black characters.
What my traitor? I don't see color. What my characters? I'm playing a game.
You're colorblind.
I'm colorblind. When I play games, I'm colorblind. What? I don't see that. I just don't see that.
Quite frankly though, I think the point she's trying to make is that when the games are created, they hold within them certain values and ideologies that are perpetuated by the games themselves. And she's not right to say that. Is it actually true that in this day and age, it's the same white guys killing the same Russian, the same Latinos every single time? Can't it change over time is the point she's trying to make. What do you think about that?
Okay.
I get the fact that you don't see the color. Quite frankly, I don't. I think most gamers don't. I think this is more a hit at the developers themselves. The idea is, let's change it up a bit. Let's get a few white guys in suits as the bad guys. Let's get a few Khoisans as the bad guys carrying spears running around. That's probably inappropriate, but I'm from Africa, so it's appropriate.
Yeah. So I think I get what you mean, because now there's a game I'm sure you guys are familiar with Prototype. There's the sequel that came out, Prototype 2, which actually starred a black guy. Like personally for me, I saw that I was actually happy, but it's not really something that I was like really overjoyed about. I was just like, oh, that's nice. It's nice, that's cool. But end of the day, I'm just there for the gaming experience. Why not?
If the point is this: if the game is good enough and has diverse characters, but the story hooks you that much, people will come. At the end of the day, the market decides. If people really want to create games with diversity, create games with diversity and make sure that the games are good enough. People will buy a game. You could make a game about a talking horse of color.
Mm-hmm. Just make
people
sure
would come
good
if
story.
It's good enough.
We'll buy. Moving on.
Not sure about buying.
It's okay, don't bleep that part. You can curse as much as you want afterwards.
Go on.
Okay. Why do we need more gay characters in games? You see, the way they are writing these things, why? Why we need more gay characters? Why we need more black characters? 7 reasons why we need white.
There's this sense of white paternalism, like they're taking care of us. There is nothing that raises our ire than the sense that there are these white liberal people trying to take care of us.
Nigga, like, dude, do we actually? No, man. Like, why do you see us as if it's like it's something that needs to be sheltered and catered for? Like, dude, come on.
I think if there is a gay character in a game, and that character, again, I come back to this word organic, I think you're going to hear a lot of this word. But if there's a gay character that arises organically from that game, it makes perfect sense. For example, I saw the trailer for Cyberpunk. I wouldn't be surprised if you had a gay character, a trans character in a game like Cyberpunk. It just makes sense within that milieu. And then over time, even in games less edgy than Cyberpunk, as long as it makes sense for the context under which it happens, we'd be perfectly fine with it. It's the same concept that happens in hypnosis. You want to make sure that everything is grounded within the reality of the game. If it doesn't make sense contextually, people aren't just going to accept it. That's not the way it works. It has to be smooth.
Yeah, I'll just digress a bit. Like yesterday, I just like found this article. It was basically talking about Spider-Man is going to be portrayed now from now on as a bisexual character. Like, it's basically what he's saying, like in terms of like context and it making sense. You can't necessarily take something that has been grounded in this sense of how it's supposed to be, you know, this sense of concrete nature. This is how Mary Jane, you know. So like, you can't take that what we know and then you just turn it around as if it doesn't really matter. Because you're being disingenuous and you are betraying your core fan base which you grew up with. You can't take a character that I love, that most people love. You can't take Kratos and turn him bi.
And let's be honest, Spider-Man isn't just Spider-Man. Spider-Man is his past experience and what we've seen from him. Now that you're making him bi, you're betraying the history that we have with him. There's nothing wrong with a character or protagonist that is bi. Create one that is as good as Spider-Man and is bi, and we loved him from the beginning. But what they're doing, basically, it's the bait and switch. What they're doing is incredibly unethical because they don't believe that their story is compelling enough and true enough. They create a character, they make it ambiguous, or they outright lie. And then over time, they change it around and for example, they say, oh yes, Spider-Man's going to be bi now. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to trade on the fan base's loyalty to Spider-Man, and they're trying to transition that into their, their crusade for biosexual rights like that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but when it's done right.
Why is this being done when Stan Lee dies? That's another thing. Like, after Stan Lee, Spider-Man like Stan Lee's baby. Why the hell would they make this decision, right? It's like,
because like most people know that Stan Lee would probably not have actually agreed with the method that they're taking, like in addressing their character. But now it seems they have certain proprietary rights that are like, nah, man, the guy's gone, so we'll probably do whatever we want with the character. Probably it's what that.
They're a bit like the aunt to whom the child is left when the parents die, and the aunt is like, oh yes,
my parents are dead now. My house. That's my food. This is what happens here. That's my fridge. No more pickles for you. No pickles. No vegetables.
It's not right.
Okay. No vegetables. Sounds like a pretty sweet deal. Okay. Oh, speaking of this unethical way this bait and switch, you're gonna love this article. That's exactly the point we're actually going to be discussing here. Because it says why we need more gay characters in our video games. This is an article by IGN back in 2014. So they touch on many aspects, but the one we're going to be focused on, we're going to narrow down, is the ethical nature and how they depict sexuality. So it starts, there's some dispute over whether or not the feelings Ellie has for Riley make her a lesbian or just indicate a burgeoning by curiosity. For what it's worth, creative director Neil Druckmann has explained she was willing to be gay. But that's not the important part. What's important is, hang on. Alright. So what's important is that she's a character we really happen to care for unconditionally. Does Ellie's sexuality have elements of the bait and switch that? Bait and switch. Exactly. Of course.
Prophetic.
Yeah. We are encouraged to take care for Ellie before her burgeoning sexuality is revealed to us. But frankly, who cares? It hasn't the slimmest chance of negating all that we felt for her, though the DLC and through the DLC and the main game. Ellie is a magnificent character whose sexuality is but a small part of her. In fact, Drummond even said that the rest of the Naughty Dog team encouraged him to be subtle when writing Left Behind, partly due to the fact that the original game was written without much thought being given to the character's orientation.
There it is again, folks.
That's
Right there.
That's betrayal. You can't do that. Because you can't exactly force us. Not even force us. You write a character. He said that this character was written to be gay, right? But here's the thing: you withhold that part of information and you don't tell us about that. We play with the character throughout the story and the game. We love the character. We bond with this character. We are assuming that she's probably straight. Probably straight because the straight, we are the majority. So we assume that she's probably straight. But then after a while, you give us a DLC with Ellie is in this park with her friend, and she kisses the friend. And for me, personally speaking, I never played the DLC. I've told you this before. I didn't play the DLC. So when we actually got The Last of Us 2, the second trailer by the show, they displayed the kiss between Ellie and her new romantic friend. Most people were shocked. I was shocked.
Romantic friend? No.
What?
There is no such thing as romantic and friend. Romantic interest.
Romantic interest?
Liaison.
Indeed. So I was shocked to my core. I was like, what? Why would you do that? How could you do that? Because my brother, my little brother, he had played the DLC Last of Us. He didn't tell me about it. He didn't tell me about this lie. It's a slide. He didn't tell me about it. Because and I get why he didn't tell me, because the way they actually portrayed Ellie actually kissing her friend, it's a pep on the cheek. It's we don't have much. It's okay, that just happened, but we're not going to give that much attention, you know what I'm saying? But then they go full on lesbian now, Like full on lesbian, they're kissing. I just felt betrayed, why didn't you tell us this before? Why didn't you tell us she was actually a gay character? And then,
quite frankly, I love me some lesbian action. However, again, I think the problem here is the way in which it was executed. It is the sense that they use unethical means to promote what they see as a progressive agenda. There's nothing worse than someone who does something unethically but does it and believes they are righteous. It's the worst sort of hypocrite. Even if the ends were right, the means have sullied everything you've done. I feel used. Do you see how horrible that is? That's the point we're trying to make here. There's this lovely movie called Call Me By Your Name. It's basically about these two guys who are gay. Wonderful movie. It's a great movie. The beautiful thing about that movie, there is no bait and switch. There is no subtlety right there. I mean, he's gay. True and true, as we say.
From the beginning. So they don't exactly sneak in later that, hey,
it's exactly, you can see the kid struggling with his sexuality and stuff. But the thing is, the story is written so beautifully, and the characters portray the emotions so beautifully. You're with them right there. You support the whole thing. And the fact that the directors and the writers did it, and there was an ethical mooring there. You respect it and you enjoy the movie. But here, in this case, again, I reiterate, you've been used.
Yeah, because it's that person's sexuality isn't even something that's actually to be embraced. It's something that's hidden.
They are afraid of that person's sexuality. That's what makes it worse. They are the ones who aren't willing to bet on that same thing. You can't stand up on your high horse if you're not willing to. Nassim Taleb says it best. You have to have skin in the game. You're not allowed to have the benefits of being progressive if you're not willing to take the risks of being progressive. I'm sorry. And the risk is your game doesn't work, you lose all the money. But if it succeeds, you get the money and you get the acclaim. So you can't switch it up right there. You have to have skin in the game. That's the fact, basically.
Couldn't have said it myself there, Tom.
It's mystic.
Yeah, that's what I said, right? Anyway, thank you guys. We reached the end of the show. We're very, very thankful you guys actually watching this.
But the question is, have you reached the end of the show? You haven't? Go on. I think there's a surprise, perhaps.
The surprise, of course, the surprise.
What would you do without me?
Thank God for you, man. Thank God.
It's mystic, by the way.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Fuerzas intrapenetrantes, estamos cansados de los pasantes de...
It's beautiful, Nico. Perfect, but useless. I have something for you.
Like your mom.
Give me an ice. Now, the grenade is simple. It has 4 basic parts. The shell, which contains the explosive, the fuse, the handle, and of course, the pin.
What do you think?
Breathe. The pin simply holds the handle in place. It is only when you let go that this grenade goes boom. Follow me. Now,
That cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
You mean the plate? No.
I am El Presidente,
Of course you are.
which means that someday you will be El Presidente.
I don't think that's the way democracy works.
They do not know how to be happy. They are torn apart by opinions, noise, indecision, strangled by their own freedoms. And even if you have love in your heart, even if you want what's best for them, if you only want to save them from themselves,
You know what President
they will hate you even wrong. Everything you
and
say,
respond to strong leadership.
believe, will be wrong.
Stop shaking, but
That's dope.
They will answer you with screams, call you evil, a monster, and give you this. So you tell me, are you evil? Are you a monster? Because our country is like this grenade, except it has 2 basic parts. Our people and you must crush them nice and die, or we all go boom. You understand now?
If he doesn't like you,
Prove it.
I would follow that man to hell.
What more do you want? What more do you want?
Folks,
What more do you want?
I'm voting for
Eyes, man.
El Presidente.
Pushing this thing. God's sake.
I'm voting for El Presidente.
Oh my God.
And president for president.
Oh.
I mean, welcome guys. So first and foremost, we know it's been a while since we've been doing reactions, but we just had to bring this one back as a bit of nostalgia. And
We finally got the budget together.
basically, the producers let us
Afford all this.
and here we are.
The producers bought us this lovely couch.
Lovely couch.
Fits all of us, as you can see.
Ample space.
Love the producers.
Love the producers. Okay, so we're gonna be carrying forth with our topic of politics in gaming. So here's an interesting tweet for you guys. So there's a tweet from Mr. Dev Edrick. He says, just so we're clear, Gianno Esposito is not Latino. He's saying he's a Ubisoft, like towards Ubisoft. It's like having him play a Cuban dictator in the new Far Cry game is not what anyone needs. There are plenty of Latino actors that fit the role better than Italian-American Dutch actors. Esposito is great, but not Latino. Like, this is one of the problems that Far Cry is actually experiencing, whether or not its character, the person who's actually playing the game itself, is actually worthy of playing it, but it doesn't exactly share that same ethnicity.
I'm with El Presidente for life. I respond to strong leadership.
You respond to strong leadership too. What do you think, Gordon?
I think first I'm still in shock. Like
Like, it was
aftershock.
that good.
The aftershock, dude. Like I saw some of the Easter eggs they left in there for us. Because in what series is that we watched? You'll have to cut it.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, in Breaking Bad, he dies through an explosion. So when he walks in,
I haven't seen that.
popping the grenade, it really just brought back like, oh my goodness. He will probably die of an explosion on this game too. Because the explosion rips apart half of his face. And so that was one of the Easter eggs. And another one was a cigar, I think.
Yeah, the cigar, dude.
Right, like, dude, it just,
I'm
man.
pretty anti-smoking, but at this moment, I'll say no more.
wow.
That was beautiful, man. The graphics, the detail.
Oh my goodness.
He's
The
a
PS5 was.
It's gonna be amazing.
I have to be honest, this was so good that it's making me sick and tired of all the meta-analysis of games. It's becoming very difficult to just appreciate how good this is because people are analyzing the politics around it, and that's all good and well. But right now, I'm emotionally charged for this. Like I said, I'm with El Presidente.
Yeah, like, dude, you can't look at this and be like, oh my god, how come he's not Latino? You know? Like, after a beautiful performance like
How dare he wear a suit?
how dare he smoke? Promoting smoking to underage kids, you know? Like, dude, it's just a beautiful thing. That's how it's supposed to be. And like,
Yes,
why are you
people out
crying
there.
about it?
How dare he promotes tailored suits?
Dude, why? Where is your mind?
He's an actor.
He's an actor. That's his job description.
The character that plays Voss,
Yes.
was he a real pirate?
No. And I'm gonna have to get a Spartan to play Kratos.
You're not gonna get an actual warlord to go play a warlord. You're not gonna get a.
And forgive me, but I don't think Zeus is ready for casting at this particular moment.
No, not at all. Not yet.
He's busy.
But like at the same time, I honestly feel as if these things of them being nitpicky, they just take away from the experience of what we're supposed to be getting. You know, it's like someone seeing a beautiful, probably Maybach just passing through the road, and then you go like, yeah, man, but you see the things, tires, those things are. Those are like what? They're not environmentally friendly. Mercedes makes.
Speaking about the environment, this is one of those budget issues.
Africa. Got a lot of those things.
But verdict, guys. Far Cry 6, are you all for it?
Like out of 10, I would definitely give this 12. As you can see, my bad skills aren't that great.
Yeah. I'm also on top. It's
Likewise.
really good, and I think they casted the right character for the job. The man has proven himself time and time again. He can play the role. He does it very. He plays a drug lord, drug lord, whatever the case may be. On the other games, I mean not the other games, but the other parts that he plays. But with this one, he's playing a dictator.
And like his charisma.
Dude, he plays the role, but he just fits
That's
the role.
that's like what he's good at doing, you know, the way he's manipulating the kid and like, dude, like this and that way he's just
Bruce.
I'll be frank with you right now.
Man.
I want that man for my father.
adopted him.
Oh.
But anyway, fans,
What would you give it? I'll go out of 10.
for me, that definitely 15.
Wow.
15 for me.
Above and beyond.
Listen,
Why we flunked maths? Exactly right. For me, he is my actual father.
So yeah, Far Cry 6. I think it will rival. Far Cry 2.
Well, I'm hoping it actually does better than him because he finally gotten the
Yeah.
reason we hired Giancarlo Esposito is because of his amazing acting skills. That's what we want, you know. So don't come crying and saying he's not Latino, he's not what, dude.
It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't. He's an actor.
It does not
It's his
matter.
job description.
and I have to really say this. What's really annoying me is that even us as lovers of games, we get sucked into these conversations about was he the right character, was he not? You find yourself supporting positions that you don't really agree with simply because the other side position is so terrible. Most of the time, I'm a middle road type of guy. You know, if there was a better character for the role, they should hire him. But this guy was so good that even if initially it wasn't the right role for him, he's vindicated himself right here. That's how good he was.
It's a beautiful trailer.
Dad killed it.
Yeah. I swear, I'll watch the whole gameplay before even playing the game. If you guys just want to see the man's acting skills and their graphics, everything they have on the trailer right here. But the gameplay will probably look like this. It's Far Cry.
It has to.
It's Far
It
Cry.
has to. Not
So-
just Far Cry. Yeah, PlayStation 5 as well, man.
Yeah.
So that's what we're expecting. So I've been Ergo. This has been
Your boy Mystic Majai.
and
Faro.
And thank you guys for joining us another edition of Fan Games. We hope you actually enjoyed this experience. Remember to actually like, share, subscribe, make this shit go viral. Okay? We gotta go viral, guys. Make it explode.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Peace.
Hey, who killed himself?
He didn't. Epstein.
It's like saying, oh my god, it's like saying, free Obama! Free Obama!
Obama's in jail.
What? Everything didn't kill himself. Who's that?
I love that meme. Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah.
But that's actually what we use.